Hi, this is CCP BAT, and today I am going to just show you some of our cool building pipeline components. Um, we we've created this world building pipeline with the aim of keeping things modular, reusable, often making workflows much faster, keeping things adaptive to the environment. Um, and one of the ways in which we do that is by using PCG. And so we've created the concept of an assembly, um, which is like a set of static meshes which go together, kind of like a prefab. And then you can spawn them anywhere in the main world and reuse them multiple times. But you can also add tags to them to have them react a certain way to the environment around them. So I'm just going to make an assembly here and show you those tags. I'm starting in this empty level. We've got a few of our cool tools here that the TechArt team has made. So I'm going to start by spawning some like a lighting workshop so that we can see everything. And I'm going to add a plane at 0, 0. So I just now want to add some meshes to create this assembly. So I'm adding this ground mesh and maybe some rocks. Oh, that one's too big. Yeah, that one. So this is my assembly, and I'm going to save it out to somewhere. So now if I drag this assembly into the main world, this is just a level instance right now. And this is something standard that comes with Unreal. So you can see that I've got this set of rocks and I can keep dragging it in and keep reusing it. So that's great. But on its own, it's pretty plain, especially for a situation like this where you have rocks and foliage and stuff. It's useful to have it reacting to the environment. So we're going to use PCG now to spawn this. And we're going to add a few tags. So going back in here, I first want to use, we have this super cool tagging tool. This is the UI, and we've made these custom tags to help our world building pipeline. So I'm first going to make sure this random plane is deleted. And then I want all of these rocks to snap to the terrain around them, and I want them to also snap with rotation. So I'm going to add this tag snap to landscape with rotation to all of these, and you can see it's added that tag. I also want these smaller rocks to have like random rotations and scales, so I'm going to do that. And you can see all those tags have been added here. So this is pretty cool. And now what we need to do is we need to create a PCG data asset out of this. And a PCG data asset is basically a bunch of point data, and it has a bunch of attributes with it, like the scale, the kind of mesh it's using, and the rotation and stuff like that. And that data can be used in a PCG graph to respawn this assembly in the world, but with now added tags and other stuff. Unreal has its own exporter for creating PCG data assets, but we've made our own set of exporters to help with our world building pipeline. So I've made this PCG data asset, and I'm just going to turn off the light here. And now we can spawn this in the main world. Now you can see it spawned the same assembly. And if I move it around, you can see these rocks are just rotating randomly. So you're getting a little bit of variation in there, which is really cool. But also, if I were to just sculpt a little bit of the landscape here, I could show you how this is snapping to the landscape, which is really nice. Probably don't like how this big mesh is popping off the side like that. So I could go back and add another tag to this, which is called discard from irregular surface, which will just discard it if it's sort of pointing off the top like that. So I'm going to add that tag. And then I'm going to update this PCT data asset. And then I'm going to spawn it as an assembly again. You can see now it's disappeared because it's going to be popping off if it's spawned over here. So it's not going to spawn anywhere here, but the moment I bring it over here, because it's flat again, it's spawning. So this is how we keep things extremely varied and adaptive to the environment. And we'd be reusing a ground mesh like this multiple times in the world, and it would either be hand placed by an artist or maybe spawned through our procedural system. Thank you.